Welcome to the Nutty Nitty Sisters podcast, a podcast about knitting, spinning, and fiber-related creations. We're your hosts,
Julie
and Judith.
You can find us on social media as Nutty Nitty Sisters on Instagram, at Nutty Nitty Sisters on YouTube, and you can email us at nuttynitty-sisters@gmail.com.
If you're watching for the first time, welcome, and thanks for joining us.
If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and thanks for returning. We'd appreciate it if you'd click the subscribe button below so you don't miss any broadcasts.
Click that bell, you'll be notified as soon as new videos are loaded.
Now, grab your knitting, find a comfy spot,
And let's get a little nutty. Hi guys!
Hello!
Thanks for joining us. Sorry we have been away for a bit. We've had some foul weather lately, some storms and such that have kept us away from recording. But we are happy and glad to be back. You notice we have a little bit different backdrop. I've been doing some crazy organization and I think I'm finally actually done. So, yeah, sorry about the monitor in back of us. Maybe next time I can put like a picture or something on that to make it look a little prettier. But that's where I work from home. So, look at all my yarn. It's just an itty bitty stash compared to where it was.
Yeah. Organized.
I love it. So in today's episode, we are going to go over some updates and then our regular segments. And we have some reviews of things. And we're going to talk a little bit about some potentially new yarn adventures in the future. And one that is in the future in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So to get us started, how about updates? Julie, do you want to start with the updates?
Oh. Yes, as of yesterday, I have at least 2 weeks to myself. I sent hubby on a road trip. He will be gone for 2 weeks, going with a racing buddy down south to help him with his race car.
Oh,
So, have the place to myself.
no testosterone.
My biggest thing with it is no TV. That the TV runs constantly. If he's there, the TV's on, whether he's watching it or not. And it just, I don't watch TV. I just don't. I don't get into it, especially with all the political stuff lately. I just can't stomach it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be pretty good. I mean, it does make life a little bit busier for me because he generally takes the grandkids to school and takes care of the chickens for me in the morning. So it'll make my mornings a little bit busier, but just have to get my butt out of bed. That's all. Let's see. Other than that, I mean, that's my big, like, yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, Michael takes a fishing trip every summer with him and all his shed heads, but
She said shed.
Yes, shed. SHED, shed. Because they hang out in his shed. He's got like a man cave shed. So they're the shed heads. But yeah, he goes for like a weekend and that's it. I couldn't imagine being weeks.
Yeah. Wow. The whole absence makes heart grow fonder thing. I'm hoping that's a thing.
I love it.
I mean, I definitely think it's important for you to have time apart.
Yes,
you know, and to
absolutely.
do your own things. So
Yep.
I think it was kind of at a point where we both needed it. He was getting cabin fever very badly, and I was just, I need a break.
Yeah, it's definitely important. That's I don't mind him doing his shed thing with all his buddies. He goes out every night.
Oh, it's every night now, not just Fridays.
Well, even if he goes out on his onesie, he goes out just to because he likes to he likes to smoke cigars, and
you don't want to smell
no
it.
smoke in my house.
Yeah.
So he goes out in the shed and has his cigars and a couple beers, and you know he does his whatever guys do by themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's his time.
Yes. But yeah, when he's inside, the television is always, Michael's the same way. The television is always on.
Yep.
And Michael watches like Live PD and
siren squealing and all those good things.
or murder mystery kind of things, and it just makes me angry.
Yeah.
It makes me really angry, and so I usually plug into my iPad and watch a podcast or just listen to some music and knit, or I'll come down here. I'll just come down here and hang out all of myself.
Yep.
So yeah, I love him and he's pretty, but it's nice to have the alone time sometimes.
It really is.
Good for you. I'm jealous. I think the longest he's ever gone away is a weekend. Just
really?
For like either the fishing thing or he used to go to New York or
For work.
Chicago, places like that, but he doesn't travel much for work. He hasn't done a football thing in a while, so yeah, he hasn't been. Well, he hasn't been away because here's the big update for me. He had surgery on his knee. He had a tear in his meniscus and his MCL and ACL, I think. But the tears in the ACL were not that bad.
Oh, that's good.
The meniscus was worse than they thought once they got in there.
Oh, wow.
But they were able to repair it all very well with just 2 little incisions. They did it all laparoscopically.
That's awesome.
So he was down for a couple of days. He was pretty sore and cranky. But he's so proud of himself. He can now squat, go down and get back up. He's at physical therapy this morning, so he's hoping he'll only have to have a couple of sessions, and then he'll be good to go. So he went back to work. He had surgery on Friday, and he took the next week off, and then he was back to work the following Tuesday, not the Tuesday right after, but yeah. So yeah, doing good. Other than that, updates for me. The week before his surgery, I worked from home on a Monday. I got a call from my daughter, and she was really super, super sick, my youngest. Wicked sick with the flu. And both of her babies, both of my grandbabies were sick with the flu. And they are 4 and 3. So you can imagine being sick with the flu and 2 sick toddlers. I'm sure there are ladies out there who
can identify.
Can totally relate to that and have done it. But Sammy was like, I can't, Mom. I just can't. So I went over that Monday night. I took the next day off. Went over that Monday night, spent the night with her, took care of her and the kids, disinfected the entire house. Because that's what I do. I clean. When people are sick, I clean. Because you got to just eradicate.
Yep.
And then I went home late Tuesday night. I worked from home Wednesday. And by the time Thursday hit, I was dead.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep, for one thing, because just the worry of Mike's surgery and the worry of them being sick and whatever. I was just dead. So I took Thursday as a mental health day off of work. And then his surgery was Friday. And, oh, what a week that was. So that's another reason why we haven't podcasted.
Yeah.
Surgeries and flus and
busy weeks. Yeah.
Storms. Oh my.
Yep.
So that's about it. I did try my hand at some yarn dyeing, and we'll talk about that in a bit. I dyed some cotton yarn that I got at Netta Spa last year, and it was a lot harder than I thought. I definitely don't think dyeing cotton is my thing. I think I'll try wool next time and stick to it, because it just, from what I've never done it, but from what I've heard, it absorbs the dye a lot better, and it's just way easier to work with. So for all you cotton dyers out there, thank you.
Kudos.
We love you. Because we can't do it ourselves. We talked about my new room setup. It's lovely. All my project bags are moved and in one location. It's roomy in here. The grandbabies spent the night this past weekend, and I put, oh, this is one thing I didn't tell you. I put fairy lights all along that, so you can kind of see them up there along that shelf. I put a shelf on the other side of the room, and I put fairy lights there, and I put fairy lights above the window. So when they go to bed, we turn the fairy lights on.
Aw.
We shut the door,
Yeah.
and I talk to the fairies,
Oh, my
and I tell them
goodness.
that it's okay, that they can come out, and the kids will be, and then I turn the lights on. It's a whole thing. It's so cute. So what's next?
Would we
Do
do what
our-
we're wearing and what we're
What
knitting?
we're wearing and knitting? Sure.
Yeah.
What are you wearing, Julie? What are you wearing, Julie? Julie's wearing something amazing.
I finished my weekender.
Yay! So this is one of your FOs.
Yes. This is a
Or
finished
your,
object.
what do we call finished object?
Devoured nuts.
We're never going to get this.
Devoured
nut. Thank
Yeah.
you. You know.
That one I do remember because it's like, I need a devoured nut. Yeah.
Let's see this beautiful sweater, Julie.
I am very happy with
Oh
it.
my god.
I do have the sleeves cuffed up right now, but I like the fact that they are that long.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to tuck my hands in, I've got room to tuck my hands in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It turned out really just exactly how I wanted it to. I did not do as wide of a neck as she had you do, just because I don't like straps and things showing. So
Yep.
I brought that in a little bit, but other than that, yeah, I'm very happy
It's
with
so
it.
nice. I love it. I love the color.
Yes, I love the color.
The fit is great.
The color is, let's see.
You could easily do a turtleneck or anything underneath that if you wanted
Oh
to
yeah,
like layer
I've got
it
a
up.
tank top on right now, but
Yep.
yeah, I could layer it any way I wanted to. It is I think I've shown that before, but it's, let's see this way. It's Malabrigo Rios, and the colorway is Blue Jean. Which it really does. Looks like blue
It
jean.
does look like blue jean.
And I think I had, I'm trying to remember how many skeins I did. Actually, got the receipt. I know how many skeins I did.
You didn't alternate skeins either,
I
did
didn't.
you?
I didn't have to. It
There was
did
no
beautiful.
There's no pooling anywhere
No.
on it. It really
It did beautiful. I'm very
Yeah.
happy with it. I bought 7 skeins, and that's what I had left. Almost a whole skein. I'd say I used probably a third of it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably is what I used. So yes, I was very, very happy with that. I would certainly knit another one. I just might.
Yeah.
Like I say, this one is really big, slouchy, just the way I wanted it. But I wouldn't mind doing one and maybe going down 1 needle size just to get a little bit.
Go down a needle size or a pattern size?
I think a needle size.
Go down a needle
because
size.
it's, I mean, I can't completely see through it, but it still is a fairly loose fabric.
Mhm.
And so that keeps it lightweight. It's not huge and heavy. But I feel like if I went down a needle size, it would make a little bit firmer fabric
Yeah.
and give it a little more weight. I think that would be cool. It's plenty long enough, so that way I would have one that was maybe a little bit shorter as well if I wanted something just a little bit more, not quite as casual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love it.
I do too. I'm so glad I finally got it done.
Gorgeous.
Happy.
So that's what you're wearing.
Yep.
I'm wearing my Find Your Fade because I'm boring today.
There's nothing boring about that.
No, I honestly didn't have any knitwear on, but all I have is a gray t-shirt on, and I was like, I gotta put some color on because I'm gonna wash out. So I'm wearing the Find Your Fade. Most of the yarn in this, I think, is main one looping. Yeah, main fiber supply.
Yeah, something. Or is it Main Fiber Workshop?
Nope, it's main fibers.
Main.
One Lupin is the name of
the store.
but I'm pretty sure
Local
all of
yarn.
it. Yeah, it's a local yarn. I'm pretty sure all of it is theirs. Because I know I got
Yeah, we both did the same thing. We got it
at Netaspa.
Yep.
Some of it is Pemaquid and some of it is Casco. I think this is go and the rest is pentaquid, or vice versa.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah, it was my first really big knit project. Like,
Yeah.
I'd done, mittens and socks and scarves,
Yeah.
but this was like the first big project I did, and it got me hooked on shawls.
Yeah.
And I am knitting. What are you knitting, Julie?
I
Go back
am
to your
knitting.
knit.
Well, I say we can look at another finished object too, I guess. I'm knitting. It's called Cobbler Shoe, the baby cobble shoe. It's by Becca Knits. That's the cover for the pattern. I love them. They're felted
so
booties.
Cute.
So, and I'm knitting them with, and I've heard people say this two different ways. I say Jaggerspun. I don't know. Some people just say Jaggerspun, I guess. Oh, going the wrong way.
Yeah, I flipped the camera again. Sorry.
That's okay. Is it going to focus? Is it focusing?
Kinda.
Kinda, sorta. Anyway, it's their, it's right here in Maine, Springvale, Maine. They've been spinning since 1898. It's what they call a 3/8. I know that's important for weavers. I don't know really what that exactly means. But it's I think they called it a sport weight, which I think that's pretty true. It looks like it's a 2-ply to me. It's their heather, 100% wool. I don't know, maybe if we cover our faces.
Oh, there we go.
Is it doing it?
Yeah, got a little glare, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, you can see it.
Yeah. So it is 100% wool, 50 grams, 166 yards. And this colorway is Sunset. So the pattern calls for, I think it was worsted, and so I'm holding the two together. Yeah, it calls for worsted. So I'm holding the two together to get a worsted weight.
I love that heathering. It's
Yeah.
so pretty.
So I guess we kind of missed an update. Our little
Yes!
brother,
Oh my
our youngest
goodness!
brother, that's why I'm knitting this.
yes!
Our youngest brother is a daddy.
Our little baby brother is a daddy.
Yeah.
Little Lilith Anastasia
Anastasia.
McKenney was
Yep.
born.
Was it last Friday?
Yes,
Yes, it
'cause
was last
It was a
Friday.
snowstorm. It was a storm.
That was
It
a wicked storm. We usually
horrible
record
storm.
this on Friday, so we didn't record because I probably wouldn't have got over here.
Yeah.
Snowmobile or skis or something.
Yeah, you only live like 2 minutes away,
Yeah,
and you
it
wouldn't
was
have made it. It was
nasty.
nasty.
So yeah, she had her just after midnight on that stormy day.
Yep.
So they're not real like lace and frills and that type,
Yeah.
Pink is okay. Pink is fine. But I thought this might be a little bit more not so girly frilly
Yeah.
color. Still maintaining some of the pink. And then, of course, they'll be felted. So that I just thought they had kind of a woodsy.
Very rustic.
Yeah,
look to
rustic
them.
look.
Yeah.
So
I
I
love it.
did get one done. It's kind of hard. It hasn't been felted. So that is the sole. And then this is the little tongue flap.
They're gonna be very tiny once they're felted because
Yeah.
this is newborn size.
This is
right?
the newborn size. They'll go down a ton. And then you run a little lace. There's a little, you can see there's a little like casing there that I'll put a little leather lacing through. Yeah.
Cool.
It was a very easy, quick pattern. I was really, really happy with the pattern. So can't wait to felt them. See
Love
what they're
it.
going to look like. It's where
So
it's
you're
100% wool. It's that crunchy kind
Yeah.
of wool. But this is not scratchy.
No, not at all.
And gosh, once it's felted, it's going to be
I
soft.
love it's got like almost like, I think it's the heathering in it. Almost
Yeah.
has a purple
It
hue
does.
to it.
It has little spots where it's got some purple, some gray, almost like a off-whitish in places.
Yep.
It's very light. So, yeah. That's what I'm working on.
So you're working on booty number 2.
Booty number 2.
I am working on a test knit for Cordelia. I know I'm going to say this incorrectly, Cordelia Vortico. And you can find her on Ravelry. I'll put her information here. We connected because she posted a pattern for a beautiful, like, color work sweater. And now the name of the sweater escapes me, but I'll put it here. It's a free color work sweater pattern.
Wow.
But it was only available in French, I believe. And so I commented on it that it was gorgeous and I wish it was in English. And she emailed me, or she commented back, or messaged me, I think, on Ravelry, if I would be interested in helping her translate. So I'm like, yeah, sure. So I emailed her, and she'd actually found somebody else to translate it because the English translation was released a bit later. But she reached out to me and said, hey, it's now available in English, and would you be willing to test knit a pattern for me? So I'm like, sure, why not? I've never test knitted before, but I'd be happy to try. And I asked if I could share some of the details of the test knit, and she said sure. So this is the sweater. It's called Delicatesse. Oops. And I'm doing the DK version for women. The thing I love about, and she sent me another pattern for a cardigan that she's testing as well. It's a top-up cardigan that she wants me to proofread. But the thing that I love about her, and there's her website at the top of the page, Cordelia Knits. The thing that I love about her patterns is her size range is incredible. This pattern comes in everything from infant to all the way up to 3X women. I mean, and this is for DK. I'm testing the DK, but she has the pattern in fingering and worsted.
Oh, wow.
In all of those sizes.
Wow, in one pattern.
Yes. It's
usually
crazy.
You'll see at least the children's released in its own pattern.
Yeah, now I don't know how she's going to release it, whether she's going to release it separately or all as one.
Yep.
But the test knit came with everything.
Wow.
So I'm having a blast with it. It is such a fun pattern. So here is the yoke, and I'm about 3/4 of the way down the body. This picture doesn't really show it, but I'll include a picture in here of the arm. At the bottom of the arm, there's also a kind of a this pattern work at the end of the sleeve before you do your ribbing. It's just so pretty. It just ties. It just ties like the whole. It's gorgeous. It was so fun to knit. Absolutely fun to knit. And I know I said I was in a no-spend year, but I did not have the yarn to do the test knit in my stash. Believe it or not, I did not have enough. I don't have sweaters quantity of anything in my stash. Any hoozle.
Because you've knitted them all up.
I've knitted them all up. I do have one other sweater quantity in a bag, but it's earmarked for a specific sweater. So I went out in search of a cheap DK yarn that I could knit this sweater with. And I found through blueprint.com Cloudborn Fibers. Cloudborn Fibers, Highland DK. And it is a 50-gram ball, 164 yards, 100% fine Highland wool, $5. I mean...
Yeah, I've made I don't know how you pronounce it, Mekon scarf.
Yeah.
Or shawl out of it. I really like it.
I love it. It's very pleasant to knit with. It spit splices like a dream.
Yeah.
So I did it in... This is the neckline and some of the yoke. And let me see, what is the color on that one? Oh, Lord. I'm in an ocean of oceans. I don't know what color that is. I'll put it down here. I don't have it here. All right, apparently that ball band got lost. So that is like a mustardy color that I did the ball band with, and then the ribbing with, the neckband with. Then there's this one is called Pearl. Sorry, Petal. I lie. Taupe Heather. This is Sky Blue. And then for the body of the sweater, Ocean.
I like that one.
Yeah, me too. So, when I looked at the pattern, I didn't really read it when I ordered the yarn. I just looked at this, and this is actually a child's size here. So I didn't get enough colors to do individual colors for each stripe. So I ended up just doubling up on some of the other yarn, because with the larger size you have more pattern repeats. But it's super fun, fast knit. I started this on the 8th, and today is the 16th.
Yep.
So 8 days, and I've got that much done. I'm shooting
She's
to
a
have
fast knitter anyway.
I'm shooting to have it done by Wednesday, and I timed myself, and I can go around in 8 minutes uninterrupted, which, let's be real, that never happens. So I've got about 6 hours of work to finish the body, and then I can do the sleeves. So if I can get it done by Wednesday, I'll be very happy.
You should have it done for Nina's spa then.
Yes. Yes. That is what I'm knitting. That's also a whip.
Yep.
FOs. Do you have any other FOs, Julie?
Oh, yep, I do have
Yes.
one other FO.
You have 2, right?
Oh, yes, I do. So this is a very simple little thing, but my granddaughter was with me, and I had to go get, what was I going over there for? Oh, had to pick up something else that we'll talk about later at the local yarn store. And they have a clearance or sale place in the back of the store, and I always love to check there. So checked there, and my daughter spotted, I can't find the ball band, but my daughter spotted, granddaughter spotted this beautiful, this way, beautiful yarn. It's got some sparkle
you
in
can
it.
just barely see the sparkle.
Yep. She's a little princess, so she likes her pinks and her purples and sparkles, and so she could not resist that yarn. It was only $5, just one little skein of pretty sparkly yarn, so I told her she could get it, and she wanted a scarf, but as I got going and thinking about a scarf, I thought, I think a cowl would be easier for her and for Mom to keep track of and not have to wrap it all around and all those things. So I have not tried it on her, but I'm hoping that once it's on her, it'll just kind of be scrunchy and lay on her neck good, keep her warm and be easier to keep track of. So very simple, just plain old garter stitch.
But I think the way that the garter stitch is this way too, she'll
It'll
be
help
able
it keep a little shape.
Yeah, but she'll also be able to, you know how kids
Pull it
sometimes
down.
get, she'll be able to pull it down and,
Right.
get it out of her way when she needs to.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's that one. And then I made my daughter a hat, and one of her friends saw it and decided that she'd like to have one, but she wanted it in different colors. So last weekend, I think it was, we went
Yes.
looking
we
for
had a little
yarns.
mini yarn adventure.
Yes, we did. So I had picked out a couple of yarns. I think they were Lion Brand Thick and Quick.
Yep.
Was it the Homeland?
Homeland.
Homeland, I think.
That sounds
Homeland
familiar,
Thick
yeah.
and Quick, I think is what it was. She specifically wanted like a black brim and then burgundy with a burgundy and black tips pom-pom, very specific. So I had already picked that yarn out, and then we got walking around, and right on the end cap, they had this yarn, which was Lion Brand Go... Why do I always do that wrong way? Lion Brand Go for Faux, Thick and Quick. It's just a polyester yarn, you know, but it's kind of cool.
It's fuzzy.
It looks like a fuzzy worm. It's very, I think they called
like
it a
faux
jumbo.
fur.
Yeah, it is really. It's super soft. It really is super, super soft.
It almost feels chenille-y.
Yeah, I mean, the Bernat Blankie is soft, but this is even softer than that. And I'm showing you these two pieces because I bought a skein of each, burgundy and black, and that is all I had left.
Yarn chicken champ.
Talk about yarn chicken. So that is all I had left. That is a 120 gram skein, 24 yards. So it's jumbo.
Wow.
So 24 yards of 100% polyester. And this is the hat, which I'm not 100% comfortable or happy with yet. It's so thick. I mean, look at the size of the hat. And it's 2 skeins.
It's crazy.
It's crazy thick.
It's so thick.
It is very warm. The only thing I'm not too happy about is I would have rather it was a little longer. So it could be a little bit slouchy. I'm going to see what it looks like when I get the pom-pom on top. But if I still don't like it, then I probably will take the decreases out and get another skein of the burgundy so I can give it a little bit more length. I think I'm going to be happier with it.
You can always
way.
turn it upside down, use it
Use
as a
it
yarn bowl.
I mean, it does. It keeps its shape. You certainly could. So just if you're thinking about that yarn, know that, oh, let's see, I needed that on 15, size 15.
That's on a 15?
Those are on 15.
Oh my gosh.
And it's still, I mean, you can't poke your finger through it. It's still quite thick.
Wow.
I probably could have done it on 17s, and I still may take it out and do it that way.
Or you could borrow my US size 35.
So I think it is probably not in its final form. But it is finished, and I went ahead and finished it just so I could see, okay, what is it going to be? Will I like it? I'm not 100% happy with it. So I really do think it's going to come out. I do have 17 millimeters, so I might go up to 17.
Yeah.
Just give that a shot and see if it makes it not quite so thick. And they actually recommend, oh, can't see that. They actually recommend 19 millimeter. And I don't have a 19, so I couldn't try it and see what that fabric looked like anyway. But yeah, so
It's super
it's been
warm.
an adventure. Oh gosh, yeah, they could send you to Siberia. You'd be fine. It kind of.
Hey, fit right in.
She said
It looks like one of those Russian the Russian fuzzy hats
Yeah.
that you see.
Yep, not quite as tall as theirs, but yeah, it does resemble that, I guess. All right, let's see. That was I think that's it for FOs for me.
FOs for
I
you?
think so.
I think I only have one. Yes, I only have one FO. I finally finished Michael's sweater. OMG, I'm so excited. And he loves it.
Good deal.
And I love it.
That is the cherry on top when
Yeah.
they actually like it.
Yeah. It came out really, really nice.
Yeah.
And he looks so handsome. Dapper.
Very dapper.
Yeah, it came out really good. It was a labor of love. I didn't love the yarn,
Yeah.
but I labored. But I like this little detail on the shoulder.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's like knit 3 and then you purl, so you kind of get like a partial garter stitch on the top.
Almost reminds me of the
Yes, kind of
shoulder
like
detail
that.
on the weekend.
Yeah. So it's lovely. It's a fairly light fabric, which was what he wanted. He overheats pretty easy. But it's surprisingly warm for such a
And
light
it's
fabric.
soft, too.
It is super soft.
Yeah.
And I did not wet block it. I steam blocked it, and I've not washed it yet. So,
Because that was the Barocco remix, right?
Yes. This is, and I have this much left.
Mm.
Quite a bit. So, it was Barocco Remix Light. So it's 100% recycled fibers. It is nylon, cotton, acrylic, silk, and linen. Like I said, I steam blocked it. It was not, how do you call it? It was a pieced sweater. So you did the back, you did the front, you did the sleeves, and you put them all together. So I did not wet block it. I just laid it out, did my blocking pins, and then steamed it with the iron. Yep. So I haven't actually dunked it in water yet to see what will happen.
What's gonna happen?
He's worn it a couple of times, and I've just refreshed it with a little flatter because I'm a little scared to get it wet, to be honest. But
I think, what do they recommend for washing instructions on the yarn?
that's a good question. Care. Machine wash in cold water on delicate cycle. Lay flat to dry.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it'll be fine.
Be all right. The blocking will make the difference.
Yeah. So there is a success. The husband likes the sweater, and it's finally done. So I think with this yarn, there is a pattern for Fluffy, the three-headed dog from Harry Potter.
Oh.
It's a worsted. The pattern calls for worsted weight, so I'm going to check and see like what the dimensions of the finished dog will be. Mm-hmm. If it's worsted weight and the dog is like this big, I might do it in this and get like a smaller dog to
carry along with your dog.
Lincoln really wants that dog.
Oh.
So that is one FO. The other FO I have is my washcloths, dishcloths. Amber Lindemann from Yarn Hoarder Podcast does a dishcloth challenge every year, and she's done it for a couple of years now. She's doing it this year, and it's 52 dishcloths. So basically one dishcloth a week through the end of the year. And I kind of sort of participated last year. I think I did like 4 or 5, but I am bent to make sure I do it this year. So my January dishcloths were these. I started with, this is my hand-dyed cotton I mentioned earlier. So this was the cotton that I dyed myself.
And I think she did fabulous.
It didn't come out the way I expected, but
it was still nice.
It's nice. I like it. So I did two full ones in that cotton, and then I just had some scraps that I did another one. I'm literally just like using up my scraps, and I don't have a ton of cotton, but they're all like little scrappy balls. So this one I think I got a little distracted on because it's a little wonky shaped. I think I might have missed some stuff. Some increases or decreases. Or it might be that it's two different kinds of, I think it's Dahlgren cotton here.
Oh, maybe just a little bit of weight difference?
Yeah, and the Lily
sugar and
cream there. And then the same there. So, and this was a little, I have a second stash. The volunteer group that I have at work that does knitting blankets for veterans and hats for little wanderers and things like that. Our stash is in these huge file cabinets and a hot mess. I was donating a lot of my stuff that I was getting rid of in my stash, and every time I put some in the bins, I was like, oh my God, I can't. This is such a mess. So I took it upon myself to reorganize it all. So I now have a second stash at work. But some of the stash is like this little tiny little ball of cotton I found in the bottom of one drawer. This minty color here. So I just said I'm going to take that home and put it in a dishcloth as my
payment for organization.
Organizing the stash. Yeah.
Seems reasonable to me.
Yeah. But there was just all kinds of little, like, Well, I gave you some to untangle because I
Yes.
don't do yarn vomit. I do mild vomit, but like the hot, messy vomit, I would have just chucked the whole thing in the bin, but Julie will unravel it. Yeah, there was a lot, because people do go diving into the bins looking for scraps. There's a couple of ladies that do a lot of scrap things or hats or things like that. And I just found that, all those little tiny pieces get unraveled so easily when they're in with the regular big skeins of yarn and people are digging for them. So I made a scrap bin. So we now have a full drawer that's just all these little tiny balls of scraps.
There you go.
And I'm kind of excited to dive in there and make a blanket or hat or two myself.
Oh, yeah.
So that's it. Dishcloths and sweater. Yep. So next is mixed nuts, our whips.
So
What do you have for whips, Julie?
I think that's this. The booty is the
booty
only
fit?
whip that I have right now. Nope, I'm monogamous right now.
Oh my God, I feel so dirty. I have my test knit from Cordelia, and I also have, because I have to have a sock in the car at all times. So I have this. Oh, the bag smells like lavender. It's lovely. This is Farm Girl Fibers, Dr. Meets Rose, and I weighed it and then put it into 2 separate skeins. And then I am pairing it with, it's a pair of socks for my eldest daughter. So there is the Farm Girl Fibers. It's her Clover fingering weight base. It's 85% superwash merino and 15% nylons. 435 yards. And this is not the right card because I can't find the right card, but I think the colorway is Dr. Meets Rose. And then I'm using a leftover from my fade shawl for the toes and the heels. And then this is going to be the cuffs. This is a mini from Done Roving. So Miss Kayla loved this yarn. I saw it. This was the very first ball of yarn I ever bought from Shauna at Farm Girl Fibers.
Oh, yeah?
The very first ball. And it's been sitting in this bag waiting to become socks for Kayla. And I had a beautiful pattern that I thought would go great with it. It was Nice to Meet You, Rose was the name of the pattern. I purchased it, had it in the bag, was all ready to go. And then Kayla was like, I kind of want Sockosaurus.
Oh.
I made a pair of Sockosaurus socks for my youngest daughter. And basically what that is I take a skein of sock yarn, I split it into 2 balls, and I just knit it until it's a full long sock. And Samantha's socks were 26 inches long at their completion. So that's what I'm doing with Kayla's. And she said, I fully do expect not to have that until Christmas. It's going to take me that long to knit
There we go. So you got a reprieve there.
Yeah. But I'm knitting it on new needles. These are Knit Picks circulars. Or mini circs or 9-inch circs. I usually do metal. I have a couple of different metal ones that I use. I believe they are
Addie
Turbos,
Yep.
yes. But I picked these up because I just wanted to try it. Just something different. And they're fine. The only thing is they are a little pointier than the Turbos. That would be the only reason why I would probably pick up my Addies before I would pick up these, is these are a little pointier. The needle part themselves is a little longer, which makes it easier for me to knit my normal way if I wanted to. When I do socks, I throw. But when I was doing the toe, I accidentally reverted to continental stitching, and you can see how my gauge is much different. See the bumps, the ridges, the lines? That is the difference between my throw and my continental knit. I get a totally different row gauge. Isn't that funny?
You do. Huh.
It's so bizarre. So she's going to have one ridged toe. There'll be speed bumps. So that is whip number 1, or number 2. Cordelia's sweater's number 1. And then whip number 3, I honestly haven't worked on this in quite some time. This is... This is The Day Off Sock by Jessica Gore of the Sweater Collective. It's a free pattern. It's a shorty sock. And I wanted to do a set of shorties from a yarn that Paula from Done Roving Yarn asked us to just kind of play with and check out. So this is Done Roving, and it is Frolicking Feet Treat in the Watermelon colorway. And it is 85% super soft merino and silk. So it is super, super soft. You can actually see it's kind of got a little bit of a haze or a halo to it. And such a beautiful, fun color. I love that pink color. And it is super soft.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten far. I haven't even got it off the DPNs and onto the Cirques yet. But it is super soft and super fun to knit. It's not splitty at all. Like the twist is
the twist
really,
is nice on that.
really good. I don't know if maybe we can get that up there
to
see
paper
it?
behind it.
Oh,
maybe?
there we go. We can
Got it?
see it. Yeah. Can you see that twist?
It's got a higher angle, I think, than most yarns.
It's really fun to work with. I actually started knitting a shawl with it. There's a shawl I found that was just going to be a quick, no brain, easy, and it had like several garter rows and then this really lacy eyelet row, and I got probably 20 or so rows into it. It starts in it's a top down, starts with the garter tab and you increase out. And after I got it done, I was like, this pattern needs a speckled or a variegated. It was beautiful in that pink, but I don't think it really did the pattern justice, having it all a solid color. I think the pattern would have been better off with a speckly yarn. So I decided I would try to knit me a pair of shorty socks with that yarn instead. And what I knitted of it, it was really easy to knit with, not splitty. It's a pleasure to knit with. I can't wait to get the sock done and get it on my feet, because merino and silk on your feet. Oh my god. So I'll give a more complete review of that yarn when I've completed the project. That's it for my whips. 2 socks and a sweater. Any frogging, Julie?
Just on that burgundy and black hat. Yeah,
it's a potential frog.
Well, no, I have frogged it once. Yeah, I think I had the black band done, and partway, like maybe 2 or 3 rows of the burgundy, wasn't happy with it, frogged it, started over, and now, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to get frogged, so that I can at least go up that needle size and see what that fabric feels like.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think I've frogged anything. I had a little bit of trouble with a couple of the transition rows, the increase rows on the test knit, and got in touch with the designer and found that there was a miscount. And she corrected it very quickly. That's one thing I can say about Cordelia is super, super fast communication.
Really?
I mean, we're in different time zones, utterly, but I can email her and within 24 hours she's right back in touch with me. She's very, very responsive. And when I pointed out the modification that needed to be made, she made the modification and got me a new pattern within like 2 hours, 2 or 3
Wow.
hours. It was very, very quick.
Yep.
Very communicative. So that was the only frogging I did, was a wee bit on that. I haven't frogged an entire thing in a while.
I think I already mentioned that my super simple summer sweater is going to get frogged.
I can't believe you're going to frog that old sweater. But
I
I get
am.
it.
I
I get
am.
it. I get it. I get it. I do have to frog the knit band, or the ribbed band on my
Oh, fern and feather.
fern and feather. I know I keep talking about it, but I haven't done it quite yet.
Okay.
Uh-oh,
Somebody pull
hubby's
it.
home. Acquisitions. Any gathered nuts for you, Jules?
Yes. Yes.
Yay.
Yes. Actually, I had to take Mom to a doctor's appointment, and she gave me a Valentine's gift.
Aw.
She knows I love my chickies, so she
Oh,
made me a little
that's
project
cute.
bag. Yep.
Super cute.
Yep. It was just the right size to carry the cowl that I was making for Kinsey.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Just the right size for that. Let's
It's a
see.
great sock bag, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Be perfect size for that. And one of my upcoming projects, it's going to be a little bit, but I'm certainly hoping.
That looks like a lopi wheel.
Oh, it is. It's a plate of plotolopi. I had some, but I've been wanting to make the forager sweater by Melody Hoffman. Let's see, she's Mandarins. Mandarins is
yeah.
her podcast. I think she's Mandarins on Ravelry too.
I think so.
And
I love her YouTube channel.
yeah, her YouTube. She's another one of the podcasters that's very. Her voice is so calm,
Yes.
so
Like
soothing.
Fairyland Cottage.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And her little baby Iris. Oh my
I
gosh,
know.
she is so adorable. But anyway, so I got enough of my plotolopi. I actually found it. I wanted to do it in the light berry heather colorway. That's discontinued, and I have scoured the planet and couldn't find enough to do that.
Somebody's got it in their stash.
Yeah.
They're hoarding it.
Yeah, I think that was the one that Melody actually said was her favorite colorway in the plotolopi.
Yeah.
But this is just, I think this one was called light beige. The color number is 0003. I think that was light beige. And then the forager calls for carrying it with mohair. So actually I found this on Etsy, and I'll have to put in who it was. I forgot to tuck the card in the bag. But yeah, it's just a mohair silk, but it's really nice.
Oh, look at the loft on it.
I know, it's totally squishy.
It looks squishy.
Yep. It doesn't have maybe quite as much halo as I have seen on some.
Not on like per strand, like
Right.
yeah.
Yep. But I'm
But
okay with
Put
that.
together, it's.
I think it's gonna go.
Ooh, it's like a cloud.
Yes. I think put together with the beige, it's gonna be fine, and it's a little bit lighter. I don't think it's gonna lighten it a lot, but it should lighten it a little bit, which I think I'll be happy with.
I love it.
Yeah, so I'm very excited to start that one. Everybody is very scared. I mean, plotolopi is unspun. It is unspun Icelandic
There's
wool.
no twist.
No twist in it
no
whatsoever.
Ply. It's
But it's-
one ply.
Yep. It's very toothy though.
Yeah.
So once you get it knit into those stitches and you wet block it, it is solid. It's going to last forever, which is exactly what I want. And I also, another podcaster that I listen to is Knitting the Stash. So last year she did, sorry for all that crinkle right by the microphone, sorry about that. I haven't even taken it out of the bag yet. But each year she does a collaboration with local to her sheep breeders, sheep caretakers, whatever.
Farmers.
Farmers, there we go. And so last year she had a clip that she put out, Farm to Skein yarn. And then this year she did the same thing. So I was lucky enough this year to get in on it. She also had, I'm going to open it, but I'll open it down here so it's not nice and noisy.
Block it from the mic.
Yeah, I'll try to minimize the noise a bit. She also collaborated with a designer, and the designer came up with a couple of different patterns.
Oh, cute.
The designer is, let me see if she put it on here. Oh, I don't think she put the designer on here. I got to cover code too because I bought this like a kit.
Mm-hmm.
You could buy a kit for the hat or the fingerless mitts.
I love the mitts.
Yeah, I actually got it for the hat. I really
Yeah?
did like the hat. I have made myself a pair of fingerless mitts before, and I thought I would love them, and I did not like
don't?
them. Nope. They would have to be the kind that has the flap too.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I don't like to have cold hands.
Yep.
It's nice to be able to use your fingers when you need to, but I need to keep them. So I've got to find a
Yep.
pattern that I will make with that flap.
Yep.
Anyway, so we'll try to find that designer name and we'll put it in. But
Yep.
that collaboration was with, like I say, her local sheep farmers for the local yarn, and the designer for the two patterns. And this is her, she calls it Shorn, and this is the Shorn 2019 clip, which is, trying to see here, 50% Corriedale and 50% Corriedale Teeswater Cross. It's locally grown in Illinois at Seven Sisters Farm, and it's milled in Michigan at Stonehenge Fiber Mill. So it's 250 yards, 4 ounces. It's a 3-ply sport weight of blended gray. There's her card for the yarn. And I love the yarn. You can feel that it's
pretty. It's a lovely color.
you can feel that it's kind of sticky. I feel like it might have been spun in the grease, I think they call it.
There's a little bit of the, can I feel?
Yeah,
There's a little lanolin still left in it.
I think so. It feels to me.
Yeah.
Can you feel it?
Yeah.
That's,
Can I smell it?
yeah.
Mmm.
Or maybe it's
It smells
spinning-
oaty.
Maybe it's spinning oil too. I know some of the mills use a little spinning oil. So anyway, I'm really excited to try that hat. I think it's going to be really cool. I love the twist on it. It feels firm, but it still feels bouncy.
Yeah, it's got some squish.
Yeah. Yep. So that is Melissa from Knitting the Stash. She is pretty much knitting the stash about everywhere. But there's her logo and Knitting the Stash. You can find her on YouTube as well. And she has really fun YouTube videos, podcasts as well. Very good at modifications.
Yeah.
She has wonderful information about modifying patterns, especially sweaters.
Terrified to modify.
Yeah. And she occasionally has some spinning information in there too. She's a beautiful spinner as well. Just a really nice gal. And she even sent a couple of stitch markers, little
Very nice.
handmade stitch markers.
I love those.
All right, I think that's my acquisitions.
That's your acquisitions?
Yes.
All right, well, I am on a no-spend year, so
Yep.
I don't have many acquisitions. We talked about the yarn I got for this, because I had to. And then the only other acquisition I have, I forgot about this entirely. This does not count.
I forgot to.
This does not count as a
No spend, bought it this year thing.
yeah. I did not cheat. I actually bought this in November. I totally forgot that I had pre-ordered it, so this does not count as a naughty. But I got the Harry Potter knitting magic book. It is so amazing. I absolutely love it. It's by Tanis Gray, and it's got some amazing, beautiful patterns in it. The dog, the three-headed dog that I talked about, which my grandson loves and wants to have, and I'm suddenly not able to find it. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes. There he is. Fluffy the three-headed dog. There he is. Whoopsie. There he is. And my grandson must have him. So that's probably going to be a knit for his birthday in August. And my favorite out of the whole book that I would love to knit for myself.
And you know you're going to have to knit that owl for Kayla.
I know. I know. She's already picked several things out of here. One of which is a pair of gloves with beads.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. This is... Yeah, I'm going to
behind it.
cover the pattern.
Oh.
There we go. This is the buckbeak pullover, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I want that so bad for myself. There are these beaded gauntlet kind of gloves. There's dishcloth patterns in here for all of the Horcruxes, which I did not realize until someone on Amber's Dishcloth Challenge posted them. And now I have to knit all the dishcloth. I'm trying to find these. Oh, this is another one she wants. Is the Owl Post pullover, which is beautiful. And it's got this neat little feature where when you pull up the band, the ribbing band on the bottom of the sweater, it says Owl Post. Like knit into the... Oh, it's going to be really hard, but...
Is it just that band there that's double knit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that should be fun to try to do. These are the gloves. Oh my goodness. Hogwarts Dueling Club Fingerless Mitts. So this moon phase on the back of the mitts is all beads. Beading is one of the techniques I said that I wanted to do this year. Beading and steeking are
Yeah, I got to do the steeking.
two of the things I'd like to learn this year. My only other acquisition, this is a naughty.
That one is a naughty.
This is a naughty.
Aww.
I went to Goodwill. Lord, I should never go to Goodwill. I can't. Samantha wanted to go. I'm blaming it on Samantha.
Okay,
Samantha
Samantha's
wanted
fault.
to go.
It's all her fault.
So while I was with one of the children and distracting them so she could take the other one to go shop, I found this. Luxury Yarn One Skein Wonders. And there are actually several of these One Skein Wonders by Story Publishing. And this was just one that I happened to find. It was only like $3 at Goodwill. So One Skein Wonders. I've got a ton of One Skeins. So I thought that was $3 well spent.
Yep.
While I was there, I also did this.
I thought that was going to be it.
No, I also did this. Anne Frost did this whole organization thing where I was supposed to get rid of my aluminum needles because I don't knit with them. But they had needles for 50 cents a piece. And I will show you what I did with them. Ugh, I don't know if I showed you these or not.
Yes, you did.
I made bracelets. They're a little big. They fall off my hand quite easy, so I think I'm going to have to actually like rework them so they're a little bit smaller. But
that they are totally adjustable.
yeah. So it's just I sat and worked a little at a time. I think I bent him a few times on the corner of the desk. Just experimented with it a little bit, and then I had a stitch marker on something I was knitting, so I threw that on there, and it's kind of an Alex and Ani look.
Yeah, it is.
But it's one way to use your metal needles if you're not using them anymore.
There's so many things that you can do with them. I want to make a pen out of a set that I've got.
I think with these here, I'm going to do a pen because that's not too tall or too thick. But I think with some of the really thicker ones, like this one, I think I'm actually going to try pounding it flat and then getting something to do like a design in it, to tap in like a design into that flattened aluminum. But you can see like these are used and abused. They had a whole big bundle of them at Goodwill, but they had each set individually marked as $1 a piece. So I picked out the ones that were the color of the day, so I got them for half price. But yeah, so fun little bracelets.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all my acquisitions.
I wouldn't say you did too
Or
bad.
gathered nuts.
I may have to borrow that book from you at some point.
The Harry Potter?
No,
Yeah.
both.
Oh, the One Skein Wonder too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just took all of my knitting books and put them on Ravelry too. So I have way too many patterns in my library right now. Way too many patterns in my library. But having the books on Ravelry makes them so much easier to search.
Yeah.
Because, if you're looking for, okay, I have, so many yards of sport weight, I want to make a hat. You can filter your library and see, you can filter Ravelry too, but if you already have the pattern in a book somewhere, you can filter it in Ravelry, and then it'll tell you exactly which book it is, and then you can go to your bookshelf and pull that book out.
Yeah.
So just so much easier than flipping through, I've got a lot of books. So thank you, Ravelry. Love it.
Yeah.
Any moldy nuts for you, Julie?
Oh.
Philomena!
Yes. Philomena and Ziggy both still
Are still molding.
Yes.
We're going to have to get...
But I will have Philomena done before the crawl starts in, May, right? Not the crawl, the cruise.
Cruise in May, yes.
So I will have Philomena done before then, so it's going to be coming right up in the queue.
I was surprised. I actually saw, because I follow the Philomena hashtag on Instagram, and somebody posted a picture of their Philomena, so people are still making it.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
I will get there.
Okay.
I gotta stop letting all the little shiny coins catch my eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well, what are you gonna do?
Yep. I currently have no moldy nuts.
None.
Well, there's that fern and feather, but honestly, there is a Hohi pattern that's a One Skein Wonder that
Storm.
The Storm Shawl, yes.
She's got another one coming out if it isn't already, too.
And Ravelry suggested that ball of yarn for the Storm Shawl, so I may do that instead of the Feather and Fan.
Oh.
Because we all know.
We know how you feel about that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same way I feel about Philomena.
Yeah. Craved nuts. Things that are most likely going to be next on the needles for you.
Oh, actually, well, I can combine that with this, I guess. I missed an acquisition.
Oh!
And it's an acquisition, review, and craved nut.
Well, there. She's getting a hat trick on this one, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the by hand. If you haven't heard of by hand cereal, it's they go to different locations and then put out a gorgeous book of different makers in that geography. I have, I think, one or two of their other ones. One of them is, of course, the main area one. This one is lookbook number 11, which is Vermont and New Hampshire. And honestly, the whole reason I initially got this book is because Tammy from Wing and a Prayer Farm is in this one. And, I mean, some of the photographs in here are gorgeous. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. And in the print, the writing is very good as well, done very well. She has beautiful yarn right there from her farm.
Love that yellow.
She has the beautiful black nose valet sheep. They are so adorable. She also has the big pig mascot, I guess, the mascot of the farm kind of thing. What's her name? Oh, I want to say Penny, but I don't remember if it's Penny or not. Yep, I don't remember. But yeah, she posts a lot in her stories on Instagram. So if you're not following her, check out Wing and a Prayer Farm. She has beautiful landscape and sheepy goodness and all sorts of things. And she's just a delightful person. She is so nice. Expert baker. She makes it, and that's one of the crave. It's not knitting, but she has a pear pie recipe that I want to try.
Yummy.
So that is a craved. There's also, I mean, every locale or every maker that they write about in here, Harrisville Designs. I mean, most everyone probably has heard of Harrisville Designs. Good story about the background and everything of Harrisville, New Hampshire. It's like, I would love to go. We need to make a day trip or long weekend or something and go. Because it's like a little city back in time, town back in time.
Oh, I'd love it.
Yeah, so it has a lot of details in here about how that town came to be, the mill came to be, and how they've put together a committee and everything to preserve that town and its origins. So it's just really, really cool. So I can't recommend the book enough. It's Lookbook 11 is wonderful. Look at the photography.
Oh, it's lovely.
Gorgeous. And it's heavy paper. You know, it's gonna last. It's just beautiful. And all of the books that I've got from them are the same way. Look at this one. Oh, gorgeous. Oh, you could frame them. They're so beautiful.
And there's knitting patterns and recipes.
Knitting patterns or some kind of thing you can make from each of the makers that they interviewed. So this one also has Green Mountain Spinnery in it. So that's cool. Yeah. So really cool. And it's not just knitting, like the pie recipe. It's not just knitting.
Yeah.
This one is, what do you call it? Like stamping with foliage. I don't know the exact term for it, but anyway, you use foliage to stamp the botanical prints. There we go. Botanical prints. There's weaving in this one, so awesome. Just can't recommend the book enough. Yeah. So I think that's my crave nuts, and of course my forager. Oh, craving to get to my forager.
Yeah. My crave nuts. Well, we're both doing a sample.
Oh yes,
for
sample net. Yeah. That's
Paula
actually
at
the next
Dunroving.
on my needles. So
yeah, that's next on my needles too. Is the moth variant of the Papillon by Marininja. Marininja? Is that how it's pronounced?
Like that, I think something along those lines. Yeah.
So we're both making a moth shawl using a new yarn for Dunroving, right? Mm-hmm. But we haven't got clearance yet to show it. Yep. So once we get clearance to show it.
No talkie yet.
we talkie, no showy. But we will get the okay to go ahead and show that. And then hopefully in our next podcast we'll be able to show it. Yep. The lighting is really terrible. Usually
we're like...
Usually we podcast at night, but it's Monday morning, and there's a yard full of snow behind that window. So yeah, Moth is next on the needles for us, right? For both of us. And then when I finish this test knit and the Moth, I'm going to cleanse my palette with an ale hat, because that has to be done. That's been waiting in the wings since Rhinebeck.
Yeah.
And then after I cleanse my palette with that, I'm going to do the Sturgill cowl. I'm going to do the sweater first and then the cowl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's the plan anyway. We'll see if it comes to fruition. Something else will come up. You know it will.
Well, we are going to need a spa, which means we'll probably see something there.
Yes, that is that's our next adventure. So we'll go ahead. I've got one product review, and then we'll talk about adventuring.
Yep.
So my only review, other than Paula's yarn, which I only played with a little bit, is a book review I listened to it on Audible while I worked, called Stash of One's Own by Clara Parks, and it's sort of a collaboration. I talked a little bit about this last podcast, but I actually finished it. It's kind of a collaboration, many different people talking about stashes and yarn and things, mainly about, stashes and why people stash and that kind of thing.
Because we love all the yarns.
I know. But it was so interesting to hear, like, the reasoning behind different people, why they stash or don't stash, and there was a couple that really stuck out to me and were my favorites. So I'm going to talk about 4. I'll try to be quick because we're already quite far. So there was Her Pretty String by Franklin Habit. And that one brought me to tears. Literally, like, I was crying at my desk.
Oh.
And he basically talked about how he was able to finally get his mom's acceptance of his knitting. It was basically, the stereotype of, knitting as a woman's craft and whatnot. It's kind of the old way of thinking. And so just the way that he gained his mother's acceptance of his desire to knit. And then again at the end of his story, I won't spoil it, but there is a bit about how his dad saved his mother's yarn for him when she passed, and he kind of cleared out her sewing room.
Oh, cool. And
he gifted out bits and pieces of her stuff, but her knitting stuff he saved for Franklin.
Aww.
So that was a really neat story. And then there was The Life-Changing Magic of Keeping It All by Anne Shane. Hilarious. Totally had me rolling on the floor, like I'm laughing out loud and people are looking at me like I'm crazy at work. It was so funny. And she totally me. Like the way that she talked about yarn was totally me. Like, for example, when she's talking about going through your yarn and whether to keep it or get rid of it.
Yep.
If it's got a handwritten tag, keep it. Lace weight, keep it. It's apocalyptic yarn. Just hilarious. The lace weight yarn, you have to keep it because it's apocalyptic yarn. Remember, there'll be no sheep. Plan accordingly is what she said. It was hilarious. That was just one example of her hilarity. I loved it.
Yep.
If you listen to no other part of that book, you got to listen to that because the narrator of that chapter is hilarious. And then, of course, Clara Parks' contribution to the book, When It's Gone, It's Gone. She talks about ghosts of cookies past. You got to eat the cookies because when they're gone, they're gone. And just the way that she says the title, when it's gone, it's gone.
She is funny.
She is hilarious. She talks about a freezer in her grandparents' basement and how there's like stuff in there from like the 1980s and I'm pretty sure her parents' wedding cake was still in that freezer, and her parents had been divorced for like 20 years. It was hilarious. It was so funny. But what I personally took from Clara's story is she talks about going ahead and knitting your stash, and don't have a fear that if you give that sweater away, that it might end up, they might not like it, they'll throw it away, whatever, And she talked about the thought of, if the sweater gets thrown away, it goes to a landfill. The landfill becomes grass. The sheep eat the grass, and it becomes yarn again.
Yep. Yep.
So I loved it. It was just, it really was cool to me, like, to think of that cycle.
Yep.
And then last but not least was Comfort Yarn by Kristen Veyer. She talks about knitting. She started a sweater. She knitting it for her mother, and then her mother passed away. Knitting. Her friend lost a son, and she grabs knitting to go and comfort her friend, and how knitting can kind of be a comfort, and that is how I learned to knit, was when my youngest daughter was in the hospital having heart surgery. We didn't know, how things were going to happen. And I had a Teach Yourself How to Knit book, and I grabbed some needles and I grabbed some yarn and I taught myself how to knit. And it helped keep me sane through all of that sort of trauma. And that's a little bit about what she talks about, comfort yarn, and how it is comforting, especially when you have something traumatic going on, to just sit and knit. And
something you have to take your mind and focus on. Something different.
Yep. And that got me through. Knitting has got me through a lot of trauma, and so I totally get the comfort yarn piece of it. So that's my review of Stash of One's Own by Clara Parks. Those are only 4 of the many stories in that book. So if you haven't read it or listened to it, definitely give it a read or listen. It's well worth it. So on to foraging, Julie.
Foraging?
Our adventures.
Oh, yes. Well, we have one coming up. So it's 27th, 28th, and 29th?
28th, 29th, and 30th.
Okay. So coming right up, Nita Spa. Yay!
This is what started it all.
Yes.
That is what started it all for us.
Yep. So looking forward to that.
Yep.
Taking my spinning wheel and my knitting.
You are taking your wheel?
Yeah. Why not?
Yikes!
I haven't spun for quite a while.
I know. My drop spindle is getting dusty. The spinning thing, as much as I do love it, it's something I feel like it's just not fast enough for me on the drop spindle. I need a wheel.
That's exactly
and
the
right
way
now,
I was.
I can't justify the investment of a wheel because I can't spend enough time.
Yeah.
It's probably something that I'll have to put off until retirement because I just want to knit all the things. I don't have time to spin all the things.
Yeah.
But if I have more time,
Yeah.
then I can justify getting a wheel.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I used a bonus one year and got a really good deal, so I couldn't resist it.
Yeah.
And I don't get as much time to spin as I'd like to, but hoping to get more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have a big potential adventure. Watch out. It makes your stomach flip.
We've talked about it.
We've talked about it.
I'm thinking about it.
I'm pretty sure I'm going. I want to go to Shetland Wool Week in the fall.
This fall.
This fall.
See, I don't think I'm that ready. Maybe next year. But I don't know if I'll be ready this fall.
I don't know.
It's still in discussion.
I say, book
Julie
the airfare.
is a rip the Band-Aid off and go kind of girl.
Oh, yes. And when it comes to traveling, book the airfare. The trip then will happen.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
You and James. I talked to James about my desire to go back to Kansas and just kind of peruse
out.
our old, the place where we grew up out there.
Yep.
And he's like, do it, book it right now, do it.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm more of a planner than that.
And it's strange because Rhinebeck, I totally had to have a plan.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the actual travel now, as far as what that, and I'm talking 2 weeks. I'm not just talking Shetland wool.
See, I can't do that this
2
fall.
weeks.
I don't have the time off work to do that.
I will have to have a plan for what will happen while we're there, just because I know I want to fully enjoy Shetland Wool Week, but I also want to do some family history searching and have extra time to enjoy Shetland itself and neighboring areas.
Yeah, do a little touristy kind of stuff.
Yep. But like it was the same idea with Rhinebeck. It's just get there, book the Airbnbs, book this, book that, and then when we got there, I had to come up with my
itinerary.
Yeah, we got to hit this. We got to hit this. Now, how does that go? Where do we go? How do we make the best use of our time? That kind of thing. But getting somewhere, I'm like, sign me up.
Just book it.
Just do it.
I gotta have a lot more forethought than that.
And I love to travel too, so.
Yep.
But
I am looking forward to Netta because that's kind of the start of it all for us.
Yep.
That's when
It's the kickoff of the year.
Our first yarn adventure last year. It's the first time I picked up a skein of non-acrylic yarn.
Yes. I gotcha.
Hook, line, sinker. And this was the that was the one that started it all.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else? We covered all and then
I think
some?
we covered it.
I think we did. I so want to show that moth yarn.
I know.
Polly, you got to let us know if we can.
Well, we'll see her at Nita Spa and we'll firm up all of the can-dos, and then we'll have a Nita Spa recap and all the information on that.
So what is Nita Spa, Julie?
It's New England Textile Arts. It's anything and everything to do with. It's just, I think the intention was to have like a retreat, but not a structured retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have somewhere that everybody can get together and, it's at the Hilton Garden Inn, and it's at the Harriseket Inn, and the Hampton. People stay at all these places, and it's filled with spinning wheels and knitters for the weekend. In a town that normally doesn't have much going on in the winter. It's a summer area. So it gives a little boost to the area there, and where it's non-structured, you do what you want to do. The only real planned thing is the fashion show on Saturday evening. Other than that, you've got a marketplace that's available, and you've got all these areas in these different places that you stay that are totally open to plant yourself anywhere, spin and knit your brains out.
Mm-hmm. And we did last year.
Yeah. Yep.
Last year, I think we stayed in our room more.
Yeah.
But we weren't in the main, like the hotel that
right
is hosting it. This year we're staying in that hotel, so I think we'll mingle more downstairs.
Yeah.
There weren't many people around in the hotel we stayed at that were part of it, so I think we'll be more mingly this time around.
Yeah, it's kind of like Rhinebeck. We're a little bit like scope it out the first time, and we'll get more social next time.
Yeah. So I think that is it. So we want to thank you for taking the time to join us today.
We really appreciate you spending time with us.
To follow us individually on social media, where can we find you, Julie?
Let's see if I can get this straight. I'm Jules Larrabee on Ravelry and Larrabee Julie on Instagram.
And I'm Nana's House 15 on Ravelry and Nana's _house 15 on Instagram. So until next time, stay nutty and keep knitting. Bye. One more thing we forgot. We would love to do our very first giveaway for the Nutty Nitty Sisters. So what do we need to do to get to our first giveaway, Julie?
We need to reach 100 subscribers.
We are a third of the way there.
Yep.
Yep. So if we can get 100 subscribers, we will do our first giveaway. We don't know what that is yet, but I'm sure it'll be stunning. Because we have some amazing people that have supported our podcast and provided us things before that we would love to...
There will absolutely be stitch markers involved.
Yes, yes. Jules will contribute stitch markers, and yeah, there'll be some fabulous, fabulous things. We don't know what yet, but maybe by next podcast we'll have a little sneak peek at what's available.
Yeah.
So if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and make sure to share with your friends and invite some more subscribers so we can get to that first 100 and do our very first giveaway. Yay! Because we want to spread the love of knitting to all y'all.
Yeah.
All y'all.
All y'all.
That's it. So, thanks. Bye.